Hi everybody, it's Bob Ross here, and today, just kidding, it's ALB in Whisperland. However, you're gonna feel like it's Bob Ross because today we're doing painting, and as you know, I love painting so much, but it's been a little bit since we've done a painting video, and also, I haven't really done much with acrylic paint. Mostly watercolor or ink or stuff like that, which is admittedly where I'm more comfortable. But I thought it would be kind of neat to do something different and highlight kind of what I've been working on lately too, which is fun. And yeah, you can think of this video like Santa's little workshop because my desk is absolutely covered in supplies of all kinds. Anything that you can imagine, paintbrushes, paint, and it's been like this for about maybe 2 weeks now, because I've been hard at work, and so I'm excited to show you what I've been working on too. Before we go too far into the video, I wanted to tell those who might be interested what my nail polish is. It's Kiko nail polish. This one's called Cupcake Nail Lacquer. It's super weird feeling. You might be able to see a little more when we do close-ups, but it's like got a matte finish and it has a texture of granite. It's not very shiny. It's like, it feels like stone. It's so bizarre, but I really like it. It does kind of look like cupcake sprinkles, but anyway. Alright, so in this video specifically, we're going to be painting a wooden Christmas ornament, and I want to show you some of the ones that I've been working on. I don't have as many left as I had originally made because we did a con last weekend. I was in Ottawa for Ottawa Pop Expo, and I had brought some and I sold a bunch there. It was really fun. But I'll show you some of the ones I have left. Keeping them in this little box. And I'll just put it in my lap to kind of pull each one out individually. So let's see. So I have a bunch of simpler ones that are snowflakes. And I paint them and then use a clear lacquer to waterproof them, and then I individually adhere each rhinestone so that they're sparkly. They're really fun for me to make, and I really enjoy doing them because the holidays, the winter holidays, are my favorite time of year. I also have these little deer, which I really like these ones. And on the other side, it's sleeping. And then there's little rhinestones here. They're wooden, so they make kind of a nice sound, I think. Let's see. I'm sorry for the rummaging. I'm just trying to decide which ones might be nice to show. I made a couple of Animal Crossing ones. Do you like that game? This is Isabelle. And on the back has a little leaf, and I signed it. And all sparkly with rhinestones. And then I have some of my own original little characters. This one is a little pug. I love pugs, they're so cute. And it has a little donut on the back. It has a little bow on the top. And like I said, all of these rhinestones are individually placed. Some more snowflakes. And then I have some of Crumpet, who you've seen me talk about before in videos. She's real cute. I'm just going to show you a couple more before we run out of time with this part, because I want to get to the painting. There's some more Crumpet. As you can see, I've made a lot, and each ornament takes anywhere from 4 to 6 hours to make, depending on how complicated it is. Just because, you know, you have to do the background and then wait for that to dry and then do all the different parts individually, tiny painting. It takes time, but it's really fun. Alright, so I'm going to put these aside. Because I want to get to the actual painting part of the video. So I thought, for the sake of time, it would be really good to do something simple. So we're going to paint what would essentially be the back of one of these ornaments, because we're going to do a little donut so that the front can have a little character on it. Alright, let's get started. So some people like to completely go in blind and just start painting, but not me. I'm a planner, so I'm going to use my pencil and just lightly sketch in what we're going to paint. This is a little IKEA pencil. I like how tiny they are. This is something that when we were at IKEA, I put in my pocket, and then we went home and I was like, oh gosh. It's fine, they have lots of them. That's what they're for. The pencil makes nice scratchy sounds because I've already painted the background on this one. I hope you can see it okay. I'm trying to do it lightly so that if I make a mistake, it can be painted over or fixed. Okay, that's about it. Simple. And then I'm going to do the middle like this. Trying to put a little perspective on this. Okay, so it's pretty simple, but it becomes a lot prettier once we get going. So I've got my little palette here, full of color, and we're going to start just with white. So I'm going to put some paint on my palette. Like so, and let's see. What brush do you think? Usually I like using this short stubby one right here. It's good for acrylic. I have mostly watercolor brushes because that's pretty much my thing. But, you know, gotta branch out. I also have a little basin of water right next to me, so you might hear some water sounds. I like to dip my brush in the water before I get started, just because dry brushing is not really the look of what I'm going for here. So I'm just going to fill all this space in with white. The brush just like rolled towards me. It was trying to escape. Yeah, I'm just going to fill this all in with white. Oh gosh. Flipped right out of my hand. Butterfingers. I've been doing these ornaments for a couple weeks now. So, in a weird way, it's almost muscle memory at this point, if that makes sense. I just kind of get in the zone with it, and I put music on and really but I can only do a couple a night, even if I'm working my hardest, because they do take a long time. They're very detail specific. And I've been doing also some custom ones for friends, so that's been fun too. Just filling this in white here to make a little happy donut. The reason we're doing white to start is because we're going to be using pale colors, and instead of doing a million layers of the pale color, you can just do some white first, and then just 1 or 2 coats of the pale color on top. It saves us a lot of heartache. And I do that with basically anything I put on the ornament. I do white first, just so that the color really pops. That's the thing about acrylic. You know, it will show through underneath if you don't. I think that acrylic paint, you don't have to plan as much as you do with watercolor, which is kind of nice actually. Like with watercolor, not everybody's like this, of course, everyone's different, but for me, I really like go into it with a plan, like this is gonna look this way, this is gonna be my light source, etc. And with acrylic, you can kind of just make it up as you go, because if you don't like it, you can just paint over it. You can't really do that with watercolor. So I'm trying to make this as opaque as possible. Doesn't have to be completely opaque and perfect, but just well enough. I'm going to blow on it a little to make it dry. We're just going to have to wait a minute for it to dry before we continue. And I'm just going to clean my brush just so that the acrylic doesn't dry into it. So once the white is dried, we're going to start mixing colors for the actual donut part of the donut. I use a lot of different colors to do this. A little bit of yellow, a little bit of red, a little bit of like a gold. So, let's see, put some yellow. Don't need too much for this. Just a little bit. Maybe a little bit more. There. And a whole lot of white. But we've already got some white over here, so it's all good. And where's my red? Oh, okay, it's down here. I use a lot of different kinds of paint. Like everything, some of the stuff I use is like expensive, fancy stuff. Some of the stuff I use is like the cheapest you can find. I find that, like, in terms of like white paint, I go through it more than, I want this shut. In terms of white paint, I go through white paint more than any other like shade or color. So I just buy that at Michael's, because like I get the biggest size I can get because I go through so much of it. But for some other colors, I will buy the more expensive brands because, especially like neonish colors, you just can't really get that with the cheap stuff. So, it depends on what you're using it for and everything. Sometimes it's worth it to get the more expensive. Sometimes it's just not, like the white that I use from Michael's and stuff like that is just as good as white from any other brand. So you just gotta play around. I'm making the donut color right now. A little tiny bit of red. It's more of this. Need some more yellow. Did you guys paint a lot when you were in school? It was always my favorite thing to do when we would paint. I didn't like art class in high school so much because I mostly just liked doing whatever I wanted to do. There wasn't a ton of freedom. I guess I'm just kind of a brat in that way. I just wanted to do my own thing all the time. I'm still a little bit like that. But I try to do the best I can within the constraints I'm given. So I'm just adding a little bit of white in here, as usual. Okay, just gonna move this to the side a little bit. Alright. So as you can see, that stands out way better than it would if we hadn't laid down a white layer. And I'm gonna do a little bit of shading. So you can imagine if this is a donut that the light is gonna hit, well, first of all, it will hit the front more. So this little back part right here will be a little darker. And then the top of it be lighter. It's kind of funny to try and explain my process. Everybody's good at different things, and I think a lot of times if you're good at something, it just kind of is unexplainable to you sometimes. I think that's why teachers are so important, because they're able to actually explain things to people. That is a very, very uncommon skill. A lot of people might be good at something, but not so good at explaining how to do it. So if you can teach, that's a very underrated skill, I think. I actually used to teach art to kids before I moved to Toronto, and I actually really loved it. I used to teach like cartooning and comic book classes and stuff like that. I really liked it. It was really fun, but I also did like craft classes and stuff like that. At the time, I was working for the big art gallery in my city, so it was through that. It wasn't like an independent thing. But it was really cool. I got to have complete freedom with my classes and kind of cater them to what the kids in the class would like, which is way better. I do better when there's not too much structure, because I think all kids are different. The kids I was teaching were anywhere from 5 to like 13 or 14, and everybody's different. So I would kind of change what we were doing to the group that I had at any given time, because they'd all like different things. Each group was different. I really liked teaching while I was doing it. I don't know if I would do it again. Maybe one day. Who knows where life will take us at any given time. It was very fulfilling while I was doing it, though. Especially sometimes I would get like kids who really, really wanted to be there, and it was just like their favorite thing. And that is so weirdly rewarding. There's a lot of really special kids out there, and it's sometimes they'd be so talented it would blow my mind, like way better than I ever was at that age. I mean, lots of people are, but just to see it in person, it was just like, oh gosh, I can see so much potential in you, It was amazing to see. I hope that they're still doing art wherever they are now. That was like 3 or 4 years ago. So I'm just adding a little bit more shading down at the bottom here. And inside the actual ring of the donut. Down here. And you'll find if your acrylic is kind of getting bumpy and leaving streaks, if you just switch your brush around in the water, it actually will help you a lot. You'll get a much smoother finish, although it will be a little bit watered down. Just a little bit more. Gosh, I'm finicky. You can see now why these take quite a while to do. They're very involved for being so small. Alright, so there's that layer. Now we have to let that dry. Just cleaning my brush off a little bit. It's important to always clean your brushes with acrylics because, unlike watercolor, if you just leave them out, it will dry and ruin your brush. I have learned that the hard way, let me tell you. So in the span of 5 minutes, the sun decided to completely go down and I lost all of my natural lighting, so sorry for the lighting change. I needed for you to be able to see what I was doing. That's what happens in the winter. The sun goes down very quickly. But I digress. Okay. Oops. A little piece of paint decided to jump out at me. Alright. A little bit more white. And now we're going to use some pink because we're going to do the icing on the donut. Nice. The best color. It always cracks me up because sometimes on some of my more popular videos, I'll get comments like, oh, you must like pink, or like, what's your favorite color? And it always gives me a chuckle because you guys are so used to me. And I think people who just aren't used to me are kind of taken aback by the pink. But that's okay, it's not for everybody. When I was at the con on last weekend in Ottawa, which was, oh my gosh, I forgot to tell you, it was like my first time in Ottawa ever. Although I will say we didn't really get to see like too much of the con itself because or not the con, the city itself, I should say, because the con was at the airport. So, you don't really get out to see the rest of the capital. But anyway, so we were set up, and a lot of guys would walk by and say something to the effect of like, too much pink. Which is funny because it would come completely unprompted. I wouldn't be talking to them and they'd just say that. It's not for everybody, but it's what I like, and that's okay. Everybody likes different things. That's what makes the world so wonderful. That everybody's different. There's a little water drop on my paintbrush. This gets to be very tiny work. It's very specific and little. But I like stuff like that. I'm just using a mix of pink and white right now to do this. I don't usually need to draw stuff in after I get the first kind of initial bit done. Like that little tube that I drew at the beginning. After that I can pretty much just go for it and hope for the best. I have yet to do a chocolate glazed donut. Maybe I'll do that next. I just think that the pink looks really good with the colors and the rest of the ornament. But maybe I should try a chocolate one. Sorry if you guys are hearing any excess noise. It's very windy out. My goodness, we are getting the most mild winter in Toronto. Maybe some people would disagree, but we haven't gotten any snow yet. And it's basically December right now. I don't know what's going on. I want the snow. I love it. I'm ready for the snow. It doesn't really feel like the holidays until we get snow. But that's just me. But it has been very windy and bitter cold, I will say. Whenever I walk down the street, I'm just like, oh gosh, and I bundle up with my hat and my scarf and everything. You gotta do the whole thing. Otherwise you'll get too cold. I want to go do more holiday stuff this year. We didn't really get a chance to do too much last year, but there's a lot of fun stuff to do in this city. There's Christmas markets and skating and all that kind of stuff. I would like to do more fun holiday stuff. I just totally poked myself in the eye with the paintbrush. I'm really glad that was not caught on film. I probably shouldn't have mentioned it, or else you wouldn't have even known. Oh well, now you know what a goofball I am. I'm using the darker pink kind of at the back here. Again, to give the illusion of depth and shading and all that good stuff. I was thinking it might be cool to do some kind of more tutorial-esque art videos. A lot of you have commented that you are interested in art, but you've never done it before and you don't really know how to get started, or that you just want to learn new skills, and I think that would be cool to do something like that. I think probably it would be best to do watercolor for that, because I am definitely more comfortable. So maybe we could do something like painting roses or something like that with watercolor. I think that would be fun. Let me know what you think about that. I'd rather do something that isn't predicated solely on having a style, because I think that that's a little bit harder to teach. For example, if I was trying to explain how to draw some of my little characters, that's kind of harder to teach. But if I was just teaching a specific real thing, then you can put your own style on it, you know? That's what I think anyway. Oh, also, now that I'm just thinking about it here, please feel free to comment on this video with holiday videos that you might like. I did some holiday videos last year, and I just wasn't sure if you guys had preferences on what types of things you would want. Whether it be like Christmas cookies, or like last year I did wrapping a present. And maybe I could do another one like that, but with different wrapping. But anyway, if you have any specific requests, do feel free to comment with them. And they will be taken into serious consideration, because I would like to do as many holiday-themed videos as I'm able to do. Just adding a bit more dimension here. I forgot to mention also, this might interest some of you, probably not all, but I'm rereading the Harry Potter books right now, which I haven't read for like, I want to say at least 5 years, if not more. But I'm rereading them right now, and I'm having a very grand time doing so. They weirdly remind me of the holidays. So I'm thinking that maybe, it could be fun to marathon the movies during the actual holidays too, when I have a little bit of downtime. Maybe. We'll see how far I get with the books. Maybe I could just marathon ones that I've seen. That I've read recently. Excuse me, I should say that. I'm only in the middle of the first one right now, but I only read a couple chapters before bed. I want to take it slow. If I rush through them, I mean, like, gosh, I read all of the Hunger Game books in one day. But I'm just trying to take my time with it. Anyway, so that's that layer done. We just have to let that dry a little bit. So after the pink frosting is all dry, we need to add a little bit of shine. So I'm just using some white on my brush. I'm just going to add a little bit of shine, kind of curving around the corner here, and on the other side as well. Just to give it a little bit of depth, like that. I'm going to rinse this brush real quick, and I think I'm going to use probably one of the smallest brushes that I have to do some of the finishing details, which is this tiny Scepter Gold Winsor Newton brush. Can you see how small this brush is? It's like 3 bristles. There's nothing to it. I love it. So, we've already got some yellow on the palette here, but I'm also going to add some more of this blue and some green, and that should be good for our sprinkles. Blue and green and yellow, since we've already got pink and purple happening here. And a little bit of green. I really love this green, by the way. It's like fluorescent green by Liquitex. And, sorry, I don't know if you can see that too well. It's one of the few neon colors that I've been able to find that is actually awesome. And it has great viscosity. So, I'm just going to get a yellow on my brush. I always keep a paper towel nearby in case I need to wipe it off my brush, and I often do. I think I need to mix that with the white a little because it's not showing up as bright as I want it to. Oh, that's better. Yellow, yellow, yellow. This is like a lemon or canary yellow, more so than the actual donut color that we did. And I'm just doing some fun little sprinkles. No donut is complete without its sprinkles. I'm guilty of going into donut or coffee shops and buying a donut just because it looks cute. I'm sure a lot of you are too. You can admit it, it's okay. It's okay to want to eat something just because it looks adorable. There's no shame in that. And now I'm going to use the green. Just something, little sprinkles. Try to do them in all different directions. This one's a little too thin. Awesome. One here and one here, like so. And now I'm going to do some blue ones too. The blue is my favorite with the pink. It's like the perfect color combo to me. Awesome. Now, before we do the final step of lacquering it, I'm going to add just a little bit of an outline, not the whole thing, and I'm also going to sign it. So for that, I'm going to use a navy blue, and I'm just going to give my brush a little rinse first. Awesome. Okay, navy. Just mixing up the paint a little bit. Awesome. I'm just gonna move it forward a little bit. Now, I always put a little bit of water next to the acrylic if I'm using it as an outline, because I find it's way too thick on its own, and I need it to be smooth. Just got a little water droplet. That's okay. Alright. This is like moment of truthy. We'll see how steady my hand is. Sorry, I have to turn it towards me for this part. Otherwise, I'm very liable to mess up. And we wouldn't want that. No, no, no. This donut has to be perfect. Because it's going to belong to someone as perfect as the donut. Somebody very special. So yeah, I don't like to do like a complete outline around the whole thing. I'm just wanting to give the idea of an outline, if that makes sense. Just to give it some definition, but not like being like a coloring book outline, if that makes sense. Oops. My brush got a little twiggy there. Awesome. And now just this little bit at the bottom. Oops. There. Sometimes the bristles can get kind of all over the place. And when that happens, I just twirl them all together a little bit. Awesome. So that's kind of the finished thing. And I'm just going to sign it. And I always date it too. Especially for Christmas ornaments. Like, I think it's nice to know the year that you got them. Then when you're dressing the tree the next year, you can be like, oh yeah, we got this last year. Or maybe like 10 years from now, you could be like, you know, remember that. I get a little quiet when I'm doing details, as you probably know by now. But it's worth it. Awesome. So this is basically the finished painting part. But before we go, we're going to let this dry for a minute and do a little bit of lacquer. So when you're all done, the actual painting, it looks a little bit like this. And now we'll do the final step. I have a big brush here. Well, let's say big by comparison, it's still less than an inch. We're going to use some crystal clear non-yellowing gloss on the top, just so that it's waterproof and age-proof and will last a really long time. I do lots of thin coats to give a really nice effect. If you do gloopy big coats, it doesn't look quite as nice. So I do lots of little thin coats. And you can see, gives it a nice shine. But that's just one coat, and I usually do 4 or 5. And of course I do all these little fleur-de-lis bits in the corners so that it all looks very, very complete and shiny and everything like that. I like how shiny it is. And I usually, like I said, add rhinestones all in here to just give it that extra touch. And this is approximately what the finished product looks like. It's really shiny and nice. So, thank you guys so much for joining me for this impromptu painting party. I'll have lots more content for you guys real soon. And I love you so much, and I hope you're having a great night. Bye for now.